Jemila Felisko will explore the extraordinary life of Samuel Lewis, who, inspired by the philosophy of the Theosophists, at age 18 studied Judaism, Hinduism in India, Buddhism, Christian mysticism, and was a Zen Master, astral traveler, and a Sufi Master. His legacy is the Sufi Ruhaniat International and the Dances of Universal Peace. Jemila Felisko first found the DUP, Dances of Universal Peace, a part of the Ruhaniat Order, a universal Sufism, in 1995. She has deepened her Sufi practices over the years, becoming a Cherag, Sufi minister, and initiator, and a certified dance leader and dance mentor. Music is a major part of this tradition. Her husband, Mike, accompanies on guitar. Jemila and Mike have led Sufi dances in the area for over 20 years. Please help me welcome Jemila.
Thanks for having me here. As he said, I lead Dances of Universal Peace once a month at the Unity Church in Holly Hill. I found them 33 years ago, I think, by divine intervention. I was taking a 10-week prosperity course at Unity, and I arrived quite early. Well, for me in those days, having 2 children and working, that was a miracle in itself. When I got there, there were these people in the sanctuary. They were singing in a circle and moving, and they invited me to come and join them. I did, and I loved it. I could feel this energy moving through me as we sang these sacred songs. Well, I was pregnant, and prosperity comes in so many different forms. And for me, this is one of the largest blessings in my life. It helped me find my tribe and helped me to find a path that led to a higher consciousness while doing something fun. So I didn't find the dances again for a couple of years because I had just had a baby. When I did, they were at the Life Forces Center, or the Dome, north of Flagler, and she was doing them there once a month. She was doing them a cappella. Well, I danced, I felt the energy again, and I was so enthused. When I got home, I told my husband, "You've got to come and play guitar for her. Please come and play guitar for her." Well, he said, he could see how excited I was about this. So he agreed to go, even though he was a guitar player in a classic rock and blues band. It was not a spiritual kind of thing. But he went, he said, "I'll go, but I'm not bringing a guitar. I'm just going to see what this is that you're so enthused about." And so he went, and he felt the energy as he danced. So he agreed to go and play for her once a month. Well, back in those days, she would send a cassette tape of the songs that we were going to do that month. He kept telling her, "I don't need it. All you have to do is sing it and I can play it." But she didn't believe him, which I was glad of, because I got the cassette tapes and I got to sing the songs. So, Diana and I started traveling and going to different dance retreats. They have them all over the world, actually. But we went 2 years in a row in 1999 and 2000 for a whole week and danced at an intentional community near Taos, New Mexico. Being there and being immersed like that is just amazing. So anyway, they have spread all over the world because they work. The man who started the dances, Samuel Lewis, told his students that they would spread around the world. He said, this is a Sam quote, we are having more and more dances, an increase in joy and balance. Not blind ecstasy, but the joy which opens and expands the inner consciousness. Laura Chilcott called me a while back and asked me if I knew there was a 726-page book written about Samuel Lewis. So I thank you for getting that book off my bookshelf back into my hands again. But let me tell you, it's not easy reading a 726-page book. They're heavy. And if you find something that really excites you, you better mark it because it's hard to find again. Samuel Lewis was born in 1896 in San Francisco to quite well-to-do Jewish parents. His father was the vice president of Levi Strauss. He was an unusual child who became an unusual man. He had spiritual inclinations even as a young child and was quite brilliant. Even though he graduated the top of his class in high school and had the highest scores that school had ever seen, his parents refused to send him to college. His family never embraced him or his spiritual leanings and were embarrassed by his social awkwardness. And his father was angry that he had absolutely no interest in business. His parents didn't even speak to each other. It was not a warm, fuzzy home. They used their children to communicate. Later in life, Sam made a deal with a psychiatrist. He said, if I did come from the most dysfunctional family you've ever heard of, you will treat me for free. But if not, if I will pay you to come and see you. Well, he never paid for any of his sessions. In 1915, at the age of 18, the San Francisco hosted the World's Fair, and he met the Theosophists there, which taught him that all religions are right. They are all from God, appearing different on the outside, but essentially the same on the inside. This resonated with him, and he continued to read voraciously all the texts and scriptures of different religions, kind of becoming a recluse, except for going out to speak with his Theosophist friends. After several years, he became disillusioned because he felt that they had a lot of talk about spirituality without a definite program of study and practice for spiritual realization. Well, they say when a student is ready, the teacher will come. He related that he was standing in front of a bookstore window And somehow he found himself upstairs in the office speaking to a Jewish woman named Murshida Martin, who was also the first Sufi Murshida in America, being initiated by Hazrat Inayat Khan, who brought universal Sufism to the West in 1910. She had the studies and practices that he had yearned for. About the same time, he also met a Buddhist Zen Master and introduced the Murshida to the Zen Master, and they became friends. So they all studied together. In 1923, he had a vision of the arrival of Hazrat Inayat Khan and his merchants with him. The next day at noon on the solstice, he is summoned to meet him. Walking into the room, he sees a tremendous light. Hazrat Inayat Khan said, "Do not be afraid." He went to him and he took initiation. What Hazrat Inayat Khan says of initiation is the first ship to sail to America had to discover the way. And it took a very long time. But afterwards, the course was charted and mapped out. The way became known, and ships made the journey in a shorter time. America is the goal, and the ship is the means of getting there. In the same way, religion is a means of getting to the goal, but it's not the goal itself. It is possible to reach the goal without a ship, but it's quicker and easier to reach it with a ship. I took initiation in 2001. There's 12 levels, and now I'm a number 9, which is an initiator. In 1925, Sam was having such spiritual happenings, and he couldn't assimilate it all. He was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Instead of his visions, he went into the wilderness. He thought to die, but instead he had visions of all the prophets of God coming to him. I've heard one of Sam's original students say that when he told Hazrat Inayat Khan of this vision, Inayat Khan said, "Was Zoroaster there? He doesn't usually show up for this." In the same interview, Hazrat Inayat Khan says to him, "How many loyal students do you think I have?" And he yells at him, "Not even as many as I have on one hand." And he has such force that Sam is literally knocked over. And Sam felt that when this happened, that he got the full transmission of the baraka of his teacher, of the blessing and the magnetism. And he said that this is what gave him strength throughout the rest of his life. And it also helped with the rejection of his family. Which was good, because later, after Hazrat Inayat Khan died in the Sufi, he was rejected by the Sufis that had taken control. They had joined with Mayor Baba, and he called himself sometimes the rejected avatar. This and the rejection of his family helped to relate to the hippies who became his students in the 60s. When World War I broke out, he tried to enlist, but was refused because of his eyesight. So he was hired as a clerk and trained to type and take shorthand. When World War II broke out, he went to work as a historical consultant and secretary for Army intelligence. He was actually able to astral travel and relay crucial information and fight the war from the inner plane. At the end of the war, Captain Lansdale tells him to burn all his diaries of this period. Sam said, "This was easy because nobody believed me anyway." But if there is any doubt, go to Fort Mason, look at the Heroes book, May 1945, and see my signature right under Carlson's Raiders. He is somewhat reunited with his family eventually and given a small inheritance, allowing him to attend college. He went to mainly horticultural classes. And he made 2 trips to Asia as an unofficial ambassador of goodwill, bringing his knowledge of horticulture and seeds with him, working on solutions to the world's food problems. He was accepted partially because he could speak, he honored their religions, and he came from such an open heart. He met with many dignitaries and world leaders. He also meets with many illuminated beings and is accepted as a master himself. So Samuel Lewis ends up laying in a hospital bed. He fell. And he had a vision that this is in the 60s, in San Francisco, and he had a vision that he was supposed to teach the hippies how to raise their consciousness without drugs. So I've heard some of his students say, yeah, when I first went to hear him speak, I was on LSD. But I could tell this guy really had something. So I kept on going back. He had classes at his home. They came. Many took initiation with him. He began having visions of using mantra with movement to achieve these higher states and trying it out in his basement, or his garage rather, with his students. Sam began with the Ram Nam mantra that we sang earlier, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. He wrote to his teachers in India, "It works. We are using the Ram Nam with movement. It takes us from earth to heaven." This was the beginning of what we now call the Dances of Universal Peace, or Sufi dancing. He began with a few students in his garage, later taking it to Golden Gate Park and dancing with hundreds. He told his students it would spread around the world, and it has, because it works. I believe that just like musical instruments need tuning, so do we. We need things that are going to tune us. Some people do it through yoga, some do it through meditation, some do it through laughter or being with friends, being out in nature. But these dances of universal peace are my favorite way to tune, and it's given me a tribe and a better life. So there's a website, dancesofuniversal.org. And if you go to it, you can find out more. Or if you travel and you want to go to a dance somewhere in the world, there's a good chance you'll find one. It's pretty amazing. I used to plan all my trips to visit my family in Wisconsin around what dance events were happening. I love Sam quotes, so I'm going to share a few of my favorites. Among the Sufis, love, wisdom, and direct experience are what count. The spiritual dance has no other purpose, no other aim than to elevate humankind. And although we seem to be in a world of song and dance, we are most concerned with peace on earth. Beyond self-thought, to joy, to bliss, to realization, and to peace. Sam was also the peer, the head of the Sufi Ruhaniat International, my lineage, one of the Nayati lineages coming from Pir Murshid Anaya Khan. For me, Sufism is the path of the heart, of polishing the heart until it radiates only love. I'm going to finish with a Rumi poem. He's a Sufi poet. I sometimes forget that I was created for joy. My mind is too busy. My heart is too heavy for me to remember that I have been called to dance the sacred dance of life. I was created to smile, to love, to be lifted up, and to lift others up. Oh, Sacred One, untangle my feet from all that trap. Free my soul, that we might dance, and that our dancing might be infectious. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming to share that with us.